Welcome, my peeps, to my 3-part series coming up starting today. We are working on the myth, magic, and mayhem. I have 2 things going on right now on my YouTube page. One is my 10-week Transform You program. We're right now into the self game. So if you're looking more for just healing your mind, that's probably the place for you. The Rose Theory is just regarding questions, all things spiritual. I had a 2023 spiritual experience, and from that experience, I kind of threw everything out and wanted to start fresh on learning what my origins are. After that experience, it made me question everything. So go back to the 10-week Transform You if you're just looking to heal your mind. If you are interested in learning more about all things spiritual, then you'll keep watching and find out more about my 2023 spiritual experience. It happened in March of 2023. So you could say it's exactly 2 years from the date. And I wanted to take you on a ride with me so you can understand how I felt in that moment by putting me exactly where I was in that moment. But we're going to do 4 things today. We're going to talk about the universal soul origins. Where does all of us come from? Second, my soul origin. Third, why am I telling you the story? And 4, how you too can find your soul origins. So let's start with the puzzle. So we all have a puzzle, you could say. We're all trying to find our piece in the puzzle of the universe, of everything. What part do we play in this? And this is what the myth is all about. This is my theories. I have a soul and spirit episode that you can watch. I also have a creation story. I'm not going to go into details on that. You can go back and watch those. This is more like the Cliff Notes version. This is me trying to find out where I fit in the universe. So let's start with, we have ancestry. So we have a mom and a dad, and they had a mom and a dad, and so forth, all the way up. Some people know their history going back to the 11th century, and some people don't even know their mom and dad. But with DNA, we can be able to pinpoint regions that you were from, maybe even connect to people that in the blood you are connected to them. Some people even have Neanderthal blood, so it goes way back. So our human DNA tells us where we came from in a human experience. Well, today's episode is all about the soul experience. So also in DNA, they have junk DNA. And what I find fascinating with this in the junk DNA is we are all similar. Everybody as a human has similar junk DNA. Only 0.09% is different. So it's almost like a divine spark is a little different. I believe our soul, how they blended the human with the spirit, is this junk DNA. And I believe the junk DNA is us. That's the start of the soul story. So how did we become part of this human experience? Well, as everything, it starts with a seed. Now, I am using a tree as a metaphor because without trees, we wouldn't be able to live here on Earth. So they're a vital part of our humanity. Well, now having that experience as a cosmic tree, you can understand the importance of, without all of that, we again would not be here. It's just on a much bigger scale. So you have source, and this is consciousness itself, was a seed. And that seed decided to grow consciously, wanted something more. So it planted himself in the universal, let's say, garden. It planted itself in the garden and it started to grow. And as a tree, it has to grow up before it can grow out. So as the tree grew, it made itself a reflection. And in that reflection, if you look at all humanity, we're made up of men and women. We're not one sex. We're men or women. So in this tree, you have the divine masculine and you have the divine feminine. But you also have two other parts of the tree. You have the inside of the tree, which is the living cells. This is the one that communicates with the other trees, make sure it has enough water, make sure it's alive. And then you have the bark. You have what the dead cells are of the tree. Now, the bark itself is there also to protect the tree itself from the outside sources. So each plays a part in protecting the source itself. So we have the tree now, and now we just have this part of the tree. Now it has to grow out. So what has to happen? With death comes life. So you have the Big Bang. Something had to happen cosmically in order for this to branch out. So that's what happened. It branched out. Now, when it branched out, it had now suns and moons and stars and planets. And in that planet, now you have life, cosmic apples. You have universes all over this tree of life. But let's talk about one universe in particular, and that is us. We are part of a cosmic apple. And this apple is very important because this is not just any apple. It's the divine masculine, God's apple. Because the tree of life only could be formulated by the death of the divine feminine. And with that, fruit was able to come. And God himself made the apple. Now, whatever you believe in, just replace God with whatever, insert your name. Because it doesn't take away from the truth of what you believe or what I believe, because we can all have our own truth. That's what this channel is about. That's what I'm about. But for making it easy purposes, I'm just going to say God because that's my belief system. So God created this cosmic apple, and within that, he wanted to create life. Well, he had to have something to do that with. So now you have us. This is our soul's origin. In an apple, you have seeds. And since this is a cosmic apple, you can have a ton of souls living in this cosmic apple. But they wanted to go a step further because you can't know everything without experiencing it first. I can't have the knowledge of what it is to be a parent until I'm a parent. So humanity was developed on Earth. And I like to use metaphors because it makes sense to me when I teach it. So you have humanity, and you could say it's more like a cob. Every single person, you are a kernel on this cob of humanity. It has its own ecosystem. It has its own bark. It has its own living source, all within it to make it balanced. And this soul, when it goes part of the human experience, as you can see, it's an individual. It's no longer part of the whole. It's having its own experience. Just like we talked about the junk DNA, the 0.09% difference, all of us have our own soul origin and our difference. When we go into this humanity, we forget everything. Because as a child, you're told this is how religion is, this is how society is, and each one of us have our own different experiences. But in general, you have a soul origin that was put into this cob and you forgot. But you have your own history. Beyond the history of our ancestry and our blood here, you have a history with that cosmic apple. Now that is part of our history. So now we go to the second part of the video. We are talking about my spiritual experience. How did I find out about my role in this cosmic apple? So I'm going to take you to that place of I am sitting outside of my house, just like I am here. I'm on the phone. just like I am here. I connected with a TV show that investigates the paranormal. And the reason that I liked it, it wasn't just hokey, looking into stuff. They were scientifically looking at what is happens in the unseen realm. And can they investigate it? What is it? And I started to get really involved in it. And I actually put out experiments on, something that they could do. You could put it into, they had two parts. They had one part that's just like chat rooms and different things that you can investigate within the show. And then the actual where you can see inside of the facility, the land, everything, to see if you too can pick up some paranormal. This particular night, I was sitting out here, and it was probably, I think, 6 or 7 at night. It was darker out, and they were chatting. Now, I was watching the land videos, see if we could find anything, and they started to chat, and the chat was different than the other chats. It was a lot more mellow, talking about picnics, talking about watermelons, talking about like everything light and bright. And I thought to myself, I said, wow, they're kind of doing a little bit of an experiment here because it's focused on something positive that I've been talking about with my experiments that I've been putting in. And then all of a sudden they heard birds. Now, in the place that this was, anybody knows the paranormal. Animals have instincts that we don't. Well, we do. Like, we have that, like, something's not right. But birds or animals tend to avoid certain areas that maybe have paranormal activities. But that particular night, there was birds, and you could hear them. And you had the people that were leading these investigations also on the chat room when they were looking at, the whole landscape. And they said, wow, we've never heard birds before. This is weird. Something else is going on. And the next step, I don't exactly know, can nail it down for you. But all of a sudden, it was like I knew what was happening on their end. And you might be thinking to yourself, well, have you reached out to the show? Have you done that? No, because there's other things that I will talk about in a minute that makes me question, I don't think they particular was the important part of my soul origin story. They were just there for me to get what I needed from the whole experience. So we're sitting there having that discussion. And then all of a sudden, in 2013, I talk about this on different videos, but basically I was laid up for 10 years and I was, like a head in a bed from September until May, and I was tired of my life. And I said, I don't want to be here anymore. And a voice came through and it said, Jen, you can do 24 hours. Well, ever since 2013, that voice has been coaching me, been keeping me sane all these years. And I thought, like a lot of people could think it's like, just another voice in your head that happens to be positive, that, it's your highest self, it's whatever it is. I didn't care at the time. I just knew that it was like one person in my life that was super steady, that was like wanting me to live, even with all the difficulties that I've been having. So skip forward now, we're in March 2023, we're on this phone call, and all of a sudden that voice that has been with me, that in 2022, without that being, I would not be here, all of a sudden gets on the call. So I'm going to use this as an example. So now I am channeling something very powerful. So powerful that I am shaking inside. Like, I've read about channeling and what people experience. But this is literally something that can interact with the whole place, hundreds and thousands miles away. So it gets on the phone, and now I am channeling for the first time ever. There's a difference between thinking that, you have a friendly voice in front of you to channeling it real time. So the show is coming through. This being is coming through, and it is very powerful. And I myself am shaking in my boots because this voice is not just a voice. This is the voice of God. And I know just saying that is unbelievable. Like, it's taken me 2 years to come to the realization that it happened, it was true, and to accept it. So God comes through, and I have to say that if you don't think that he plays a role in your everyday life, I am here to tell you he does. He is living, he is here, and he's trying to help. But as I said on my threads, God, he can help a tree, water a tree, help a tree grow, but he can't build the boat. So God's on the phone now. My husband comes out, and I go to say something to my husband, and to him, it came out as I was talking in tongues. I had one experience and he had another. And you can imagine that it's very hard you have one spiritual experience and the people that are around you are having a whole different experience. And it's taken me 2 years to be able to say that I forgave myself for being broken, for not being able to deal with the spiritual experience, my mind, and everything that was happening. And my family is super supportive of me. My son said, I don't believe anything that happened in your spiritual experience. And I said, that's okay. So now God got on the call. Now I'm channeling God. And now my life, as I know it, is completely gone. Like there was a truth I woke up with and a different truth when I went to bed. And it is so isolating. You are so alone because no one around you believes you. Not even to this day, my loved ones, they believe my experience and what had happened. But I truly believe that I was not dealing with the situation very well either. And maybe it would have went differently. But in general, I totally understand why people wouldn't believe me. I mean, it's hard pill to swallow to say that you channel God. What? But it's my truth. And we are in self-love week of my Transform You. And I believe that every aspect of yourself, no matter how unbelievable, because somebody else out there might be having a spiritual experience too, might be feeling alone, and watches this video and says, I'm not alone. But also know that your experience is yours. It's not for other people to believe you or not believe you. The only person that has to believe you is you. So now we're getting to the soul origins. It's come through. There's a lot of going on. It's been not like it was 9 days into it. But I would say like 3 or 4. Now you can tell that the phone had a big impact on the experience. It started everything off. This phone that I have has had a direct effect on me, my experience, and my spiritual experiences. It's played a part in my life, but it is not my life, just FYI. So now we're into day 3 or 4. It's at night, and I'm sitting there, And there is some amazing things that I'm doing, like directing a military thing, which we'll go into in the next couple weeks for Angel Week and for the dark side of the unseen realm. I'll get more into that. But today is just about the soul origins. So I'm sitting there. I've done these extraordinary things. God's come through. Like, who the heck am I to like even be part of all of this? Like, how am I able to do that? And I talked a little bit about that during the what is a soul or a spirit. And in general, we are born with our human consciousness, but we also have a spiritual conscious, that little whisper in your thing that's actually telling the truth. But because of all of you listen to that negative voice in your head saying shame, guilt, fear. And so that night I was downloaded right from YouTube. That's why I put this on YouTube, because I was downloaded a documentary. And I can see that actor's face, exactly what he said during the whole thing. And then there was this subsequent spin-offs of more episodes. And the gentleman that wrote these documentaries is a theologian. So he knows all things scripture, all things written word regarding religion. And I was listening to this, and basically what was said in these documentaries was the divine feminine was taken out by men, and they wanted to systematically kill anything that a female was on the same level as a male. And that I myself was goddess of Asherah. That I was put into this cob. Because as you can see, I was taken out of humanity and able to see both at the same time. And now they're telling me that I am the goddess of Asherah, and that is my soul's origin. Now that's a big pill to swallow, to say that you are a goddess that has been stuck in a human body, and now you are here on earth. And what does that all mean? I don't know. I don't know yet, to be fair. It's not like I still have arguments with my kids. I still have struggles. I still have pains. I still have traumas. That having my soul's origin is not like, it's not like all of a sudden your problems go away and you're this goddess and it's like, oh great, look at me. No, it's more or less just saying that, how do I fit in to this cosmic apple? And it took me a long time to believe my experience, because every single person said it was wrong. And how is goddess, God, how is it all connected? And I believe that in the beginning of time, the source created the divine feminine and divine masculine. And I believe that all of us have both the divine masculine and the divine feminine in us. But there has been not a balance in the world. And now the world needs to be more balanced. So the divine feminine is coming back in. Through me, through other people, I have no idea. But how do you want to find your own soul's origin? How do you want to find if you are this cosmic acorn living in humanity? How do you find out what your soul is? And when I came back from my spiritual experience, I was given the 7 levels of being human. And I made those videos last year. This year, I realized that nobody is going to get through the 7 levels until they find healing within their mind. And that is what the 10-week Transform You program is. That is why it's free, and that's why I'm giving it out. Because God has saved me more times than I can count. He threw me into a spiritual experience that left me with nothing. I was nothing. I still am nothing. But when I came back, he gave me everything. He gave me another chance to be a human, but looking at it as, first and foremost, I'm a cosmic seed. That is my power. That is my peace. That is my joy. This is the ability to handle anything that comes at me. That's why I am telling my story, because how unbelievable it is. I have the police reports that it happened. I have the car that's totally crashed. I have all of my family that's had to recover from my experience. I have all the cops. I have the psychiatrists. I have everybody that this happened to me, but nobody is on board that it happened, because if somebody believes what happened to me, then what does that do to their own reality? What does that do to somebody that doesn't believe, doesn't see? They would rather you be crazy than believe a story like I'm telling you now. And to me, that's okay, because God has shown me that if you have strength within Him to know that He is there to rescue, but He can't save you. That's up to us. But when we realize that we are far more powerful with our little junk DNA than we ever thought, that He is there. He is there every day trying to help you. Because we are on this human experience to kick life in the butt, to not have fear, to not have guilt, to not have shame, to forgive ourselves, forgive other people, and start living in a healed world that we can start to bear our own fruit. Just think if all of us got together and started to heal ourselves, started to find our little cosmic soul origins, then everybody wouldn't go around being envious of each other, because we all have our beginning. We all have our beginning story. It's not even the story you're in right now. It's something so far bigger than yourself. So my suggestion is if you want, this is how I started off. I started off half. This is my humanity. It was just half of me. And this is what happened afterwards. I put myself together. Yes, God helped me, but He didn't put me together. And I had to go with all my tools and all my equipment to fix my life. Goddess or not, I had to fix my life. I had to dig in the dirt. I had to reflect on my life, all the hurt that I caused, all the pain that I caused, and also the pain that people caused me, and to accept that, and to move on, to conquer, to become who I am today. And to tell you the truth, I'm building another sandcastle. I'm finding my piece in this cosmic puzzle. And that is what I'm doing right now. That is my passion, is to put myself out there so other people can tell their story too, and not give any, you know what, to anybody. We are who we are, and not just our DNA here on earth, but something far more greater, far more bigger than all of us, that started with a seed. So that is the story of the soul origins. Now, if you're interested in more, then I definitely suggest to tune in next week to the angels. And you'll see more of the battle that I was facing. Blessings to all who see this. Take care. Thank you for dealing with all my props, but I really did want to give you like what it felt like to be in that moment, to tell my truth, no matter how unbelievable it is, Because if I can tell my story, I want you to be able to tell your story. Even if you don't know it now, maybe you find out in the future because you did the healing of your mind. You went through the 7 levels and you found your acorn. Blessings to all who see this. Take care. Bye.